Hello, greetings everyone, and thank you for joining us, the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization, also known as OSDBU. We have our presentation today, Doing Business with the U.S. Department of Education. We're very glad that you're here, and we have a lot of good information to share with you today. Here's our agenda. After the welcome, we have Director Calvin Mitchell Jr., the Director of OSDBU, who will share the OSDBU mission, goals, and contracting trends. And then Gabby Epstein, Small Business Specialist in OSDBU, will be sharing some information about how you can register for SBCX, the Small Business Customer Experience Database. And then finally, I'll be sharing some more information about resources. And then at the very end, we also have with us our additional OSDBU staff, Small Business Specialists Samira Zawari, Marcella Coverson, and Javette Johnson as well. With that, I'm going to pass the presentation over to Director Calvin Mitchell.
Thank you, Deborah, and thank you all who are participating and are listening to this exciting event. We are going to tell you a little bit more about the Department of Education, so that way you can understand what you need to know to be competitive in our marketplace and compete for our contracts. The Department of Education mission is to promote student achievement and preparation for global competitive by fostering educational excellence and ensuring equal access. The mission is always important, and you should always align yourself to the mission. But it's also important for you to understand kind of how our mission plays out in terms of contracts. Where it says that it is dedicated to establishing policies for federal aid and for education and distributing as well as monitoring those funds. This is where we have a lot of our contracts. Quite honestly, a good majority of them. Federal student aid is one of our largest contracting activities, and what they do a lot there is managing funds. They also do debt collection. They also do a lot of administration of financial services. I'm going to go down a little bit to talk about the next bullet, which is collecting data on American schools. We have Institute for Educational Science, which is our second largest customer. They are statisticians, they are researchers, they are PhDs, they are folks who are looking at data and collecting data, assessing data to understand our American schools and how to influence policy. This is just a snapshot and giving you some real insight into how the Department of Education contracts. We're going to be moving on to the next slide, which is the OSDBU's office. You may be asking yourself, what exactly does the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization do? How can you help me as a small business? Well, we are an advocate for small business. We are working to make sure that small businesses are represented on every single contract that we award here at the Department of Education. Some of our key roles include conducting outreach to the business community and internal stakeholders. Well, what does that mean? That means we are going to have small business events. We are going to have outreach events to let the community know about the Department of Education. We are also doing internal meetings, right? We're meeting with our small business liaisons. We're meeting with our offices, our program offices. We're meeting with the contracting offices to make sure that they're well aware of all the wonderful opportunities that can be presented to them if they use small business. How we can be competitive, how we can drive down price. Establish strategic partnerships. This is an example of how we work with the National Veterans Coalition, how we work with the 8A Association, how we're working with the HubZone Council, and so many others. So that way we have good relationships to be able to understand some of our stakeholders and how to be able to help them and support them in Department of Education contracts. We provide technical guidance. We provide training to ed staff. We've presented training on service-disabled veteran-owned small business, on different contracts on 8A, small businesses, so many different topics. So that way, our contracting staff knows all about the great services that you can provide and some of the tools and tricks to get to you. It's really us for being able to reduce the barriers to make sure that small business are represented and that we can maximize the participation in all department contracts. And of course, we're looking at prime contractors to make sure that they're doing the right thing and making sure that those contracting plans are in place and that there's some rigor behind it so that we know that our subcontractors are getting a fair shot at the apple. And then lastly, we have our small business goals, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, and really working with each of the program offices to make sure that uh, those small business goals are achieved. So this is our small business goals for 2021. Our overall small business goal is 14%. 14%. Our subcontracting is 39%. You can see here that the rest of the goals for women-owned and a small disadvantaged business are the same as the statutory requirement, which is 5%. Service disabled veteran-owned small business is 3%, and HUBZone is 3% as well. If you're wondering, so where's the top spending really happening at the Department of Education in terms of spending categories? That would be professional services is our largest spending category, shortly followed by IT, and then research and development. This is a snapshot of Azabu contracting for FY20. And this is really just showing what offices are spending and how they're performing against their small business goals. Something to note is if you see Federal Student Aid is our largest buying office, and then closely followed by Institute for Educational Science, and then we see the CIO that's also there, and we see OFO, which is the Office of Financial Operations, and we see that also OESC, Office of Educational Secondary, Office of Education and Secondary, Office of Elementary and Secondary Education is also rounding up the top five. Together, they make up about 90% of our overall small business spending and overall spending. So if you're looking to identify opportunities, those are where our top spenders are. So this is just our industrial base utilization. We tend to lag in our HUBZone and our service disabled veteran-owned small business. This chart is kind of looking at from 13 to 2020, how it's depicted in terms of a graph. And you can see we are really looking to improve our HUBZone and our service disabled veteran-owned small business outreach. And we have done a lot in terms of doing more outreach, doing more development, trying to get our small businesses aligned to the mission and our contracting aligned to the mission, so we could just have that ecosystem where we can maximize that small business utilization. Here we have, again, those top offices. We mentioned them before, and you can see how they're broken down here, and you can see how they align in terms of FY20 in terms of spend. Again, the same thing we notice here. Federal Student Aid is the largest spender by far, and the Institute for Educational Science is coming in second. And so we also want you to see some of the top NAICS codes for education for FY20. And no surprise with Federal Student Aid that collection agencies is the top spender, followed by research development in the social sciences and humanity, and that is actually associated with the Institute for Educational Science, or IES. The third one, miscellaneous financial investment activities, is the NAICS code that's typically used in federal student aid. And then we have the more professional service related, administrative management and general management consulting services. And then again, another financial related professional service, NAICS code, which is other activities related to credit intermediation. All right. And so here we see the top 10 NAICS codes. This time we wanted to give you from FY20 the top industry base from FY18 to 20. So you could just see what businesses are represented under our top NAICS code and which businesses are maybe underrepresented. And we just provided this information. This is the same information we provide internally when we're doing our market research to really talk about how we can maximize small business participation. And what we do is, hey, look at these are some of the NAICS codes in which we work in, and these are some of the small businesses that are there. And this is the first step to help us in market research. But you might also look here and say, hey, maybe maybe there's something that I do and a job that I can perform, and I can provide the service to the government that could be underrepresented. You can also see that here. All right, so here we have the top contracting vehicles. We wanted to provide some of the top contracting vehicles so you can see where a lot of money is spent, so you can help you to navigate the opportunities based on the information. Top contract, CIO SP3, then CIO SP3 small business, Oasis, NASA SEWP, and then 8A stars. You can see on the right-hand side how the GSA schedules versus the other contracts, and how often we're using GSA schedule as opposed to some of the other indefinite delivery vehicles, the indefinite other contracts, and you can see that breakdown here. And so you can see that we use the GSA schedule quite a bit, but we also use a lot of those GWACs quite a bit. And that's representative of some of the data that we've seen before. And here we have the OSDBU contacts. We are available. You can contact the small.business@ed.gov, and we can all help you in terms of doing one-on-ones, helping you to understand the Department of Education, and if you have questions on the forecast. We can all support you in that, and this is the small but mighty team that we have supporting our small businesses each and every day. All right, so now without further ado, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Gabby.
Hello, as Calvin said, my name is Gabby Epstein, and I am a small business specialist here at the U.S. Department of Education, OSDBU. Next, we're going to be talking about our small business customer experience database. Here we go. So I just want to begin by giving a few ideas about what exactly this training is. This is a training and not an industry day. So there will be no program or contracting staff involved, and no discussion of specific contract opportunities. A lot of times people come to the events and they don't fully understand the scope. You will want to check out our other events for different content from this. And this is a training for new users, actually, not current users. So this is our lovely homepage for SBCX. As you can see, we have our logo, we have our nice customized banner. All right, so what are our objectives today? We're going to be talking about SBCX in order to meet ED's mission and small business goals, to fulfill the role of OSDBU in advocating for the maximum participation of small businesses in ED contracts, to provide instruction to businesses on the use and functionality of SBCX as a database, and to provide specific, useful strategies and techniques to increase your business's visibility. So what exactly is SBCX? Well, SBCX stands for Small Business Customer Experience. It is a market research tool on our internal side. It has data on businesses and contracting, and it helps us facilitate efficient communication with the small business community. When I say that, I mean we use the site to send out upcoming contract opportunities and events based on what we think might be most relevant to you. So, for example, if we had a contract come out under the NAICS 541512, we would search the site to find all the businesses falling under that NAICS code, and we would send out the opportunity to them. Or perhaps we had an event for women-owned small businesses. We would search the site for all the women-owned small businesses and send out information on the event to them. All right, so why exactly do we have SBCX? Well, there are a few legal requirements in the Federal Acquisition Regulations, or the FAR, as well as the Small Business Act. In the FAR, it states that agencies shall conduct market research prior to awarding contracts. And that's what I'm talking about when I say we conduct market research on the internal side. We use the site to find vendors if we have a specific opportunity that we would like to find capable vendors for. The government must provide maximum practicable opportunities for small and disadvantaged businesses. And OSDBU is responsible for advising on acquisition strategies and market research. You'll notice that the site only has small businesses, so this is for our way to tell, which businesses have specific capabilities in the marketplace that are small, so that we can determine acquisition strategies like small business set-asides to make sure that you all have the maximum opportunity possible. And then for the second point there, we do advise our internal folks on exactly what's going on in the small business industry base to form those strategies. And then in the Small Business Act, Part 15, it states that so long as cost is fair, opportunities are to be made for small business. And before consolidating procurement requirements, an agency shall conduct market research. We already touched upon market research, but if you don't already know, basically every contract where 2 or more small businesses can compete should be going to small business. All right, let's move forward. So why should you use SBCX? Well, first of all, I like to think it's pretty user-friendly. We provide it so you don't have to pay anything, and it is specific to ed. So this is sort of our way of seeing not only these are small businesses that are interested in government work, but these are small businesses that are interested in working with the U.S. Department of Education specifically. So that gives you visibility and lets us know that you're interested in us, and it will give you a little bit of, more visibility as compared to any other small business vendor. We search this site first before we search anywhere else for market research. So who can use SBCX? Well, there are 3 primary groups. We have our ed program staff, our ed acquisition staff, and then you all, the business owners and employees. Some key notes about the site. You do need an account to see site details. That pertains a little more to our internal staff, but you won't be able to edit a profile or make a profile or anything that this is useful for, at least on your end, if you don't make an account. And only departmental staff can view sensitive information like company capabilities and contract data. So if you're concerned with making an account has to do with privacy, don't worry about it. Other businesses are only going to see some very service level information that they could find about you in BetaSAM. So what do we need you to do? Well, first of all, we need you to help us build SBCX capacity. Over the past year or so, SBCX has grown dramatically, and that's awesome because the more of you we have in the system and the more we understand about the small business industry base, the more we can set aside for small business. So please register on the site, build out your profile as much as you possibly can, and encourage your colleagues to join. That could be inside your business or outside your business. Like I said, the more businesses we have under certain areas, the more likely an opportunity is to be set aside for small business. And then use SBCX. Make sure you keep your information up to date. If you need an update from a change in SAM.gov, just let us know and we'll have that changed. You can view contracting goals and other resources, which my colleague Dr. Suarez is going to be talking about in a little bit. And you can stay connected with our small business specialists. You'll be able to find our contact information there. All right. So how do I register for SBCX, you might be wondering. So as you can see in this slide, there's a screenshot of our SBCX homepage, and you'll see in the right-hand corner of the browser, there is a register button. You'll want to click on that. Then you're going to get an option to enter your information. After that, you'll have an option to enter your business DUNS number. Make sure to confirm your business information. You'll notice an example profile right here from the vendor that made this site, Apex Logic. So you're only going to get that little pop-up if you type in the proper DUNS number in combination with the business point of contact from BetaSam. If that does pop up, you should complete the registration. Enter your security information, like your password, security questions. We want to make sure the site is nice and secure. And then if the email address you use to register does match the government business point of contact as entered in sam.gov, you'll be able to immediately log in and access the company's profile. However, if the email address you use to register does not match the government business point of contact in sam.gov, you'll see this message which says basically that you are not the primary contact for your business and that you'll need to contact that individual who is the business point of contact from SAM in order to get your account approved. In this case, you can either contact us or you can get that person to register and approve you in the site. If you have any questions, just feel free to reach out. All right, once your account has been activated, you'll be able to see your profile when you log in. You'll only see the user management tab if you see on the right side of this picture. If you are the government business point of contact, you can use that tab to edit who in your business has access to the site. You can delete people, you can add people, but remember you can't add them or delete them unless they've actually registered. And then we encourage you very much to upload your capability statement. You can see under the capability tab, there is a place for a manual capabilities narrative. We highly, highly recommend that you fill that out because if you don't, there's no way for our site to search your capability document, even if you attach it. It's sort of just there as an extra way for us to see it if we do visit your profile. So please fill out the capabilities narrative and the keywords. It makes it much easier to find you when we're conducting market research, and it makes it more likely that you'll be reached out to for an opportunity. And you could also, sorry, I forgot to mention, you can also specify which ed program offices you are most interested in, your top 3. And if you have any questions about that, once again, just feel free to reach out. All right, now I'm going to throw it over to my colleague, Dr. Suarez, who's going to be talking about the small business resources on SBCX.
Thank you very much, Gabby. So, so far, I'm hoping that everyone is seeing that what we're trying to do in our presentation today is to give you a sort of basic understanding of the Department of Education and to give you one entry point into doing business with the Department of Education, which is the SBCX database. So thank you very much to Director Mitchell for going over the Department of Education mission and contracting trends, and thank you to Ms. Epstein for going over how to get into SBCX. So I just want to finalize here just with a couple of reminders. We've given you a lot of information, but just a reminder that once you get into SBCX, once you register and get your profile set up, that's just the beginning. There's a lot more to use, a lot more ways to use SBCX in order to engage and learn about the Department of Education. So I encourage you to go into SBCX, register, and then use it as a marketing tool to set up your profile, to set up your NAICS codes, to upload your capability statements. In addition to all of that, to using SBCX as a marketing tool, please take a look at the resources. We've done a lot of work to make sure that we are providing resources that will help you whatever stage your small business is at, to help your small business to begin exploring and potentially receiving contracts with the department. So for example, SBCX provides multiple resources to support small businesses, as you see on the screen. So some businesses are at one particular entry point, and other businesses are at a different entry point. But with these resources, we should be helping you wherever your business is at, whichever stage they're at. We also provide government-wide resources for small businesses. So it's not only focused on the Department of Education, but here is right here on the screen, you see a sample of some of those government-wide resources. We also have resources where we will give information on various small business programs and guiding you toward SBA, where they have more information. So, for example, information about the Veteran-Owned Small Business Program, the 8A Small Business Program, Women-Owned Small Business Program, and HubZone. So we have those additional resources as well. Also, you'll find information from our Contracts and Acquisitions Management team, or CAM, providing contracting resources. So if you go into SBCX, there you will find the link to Contracts and Acquisitions Management, where you'll find information on the various groups in the Department of Education who do Contracts and Acquisitions Management. You'll find the forecast, the link to our forecast for upcoming contracting activity, as well as additional information. Finally, and I believe Gabby mentioned this already, you will find our contact information. The Department of Education OSDBU has various program offices, or POCs. It's a different way of using the term POC. In SBCX, it might be point of contact, but here we're using POC as a program office. We have roughly 20 or so POCs, or program offices, each one which will have a different mission to serve the Department of Education, and therefore different kinds of contracting needs. So the OSDBU staff will liaise with different program offices, and there you see the different program offices and the small business staff member who will liaise with that program office. And earlier, Director Mitchell gave you information about the spend and how much spend we have from various offices. Okay. And then you will find, again, additional links there. So the point is that SBCX is more than just a database. SBCX really is an entry point for small businesses who wish to do business with the Department of Education, and those who are already doing business with the Department of Education to continue to engage. So you will put information out there. We use the information for our market research. We also use that information to disseminate opportunities as well. So we're excited about this, and we hope that you will use this entry point to begin to engage with us. Now, at this point, we typically, when we're presenting for a live audience, we will present, we'll give the attendees a chance to ask questions. But you know what? We're not doing this live, but we have a lot of expertise on staff. We have small business specialists who have been doing this work for years. And so I'd like to call them up now. And I know that they have some questions from their experience working with many, many small businesses over the years. They have a pretty good sense as to the kinds of questions that are asked. Great, and with that, I'd like to call Samira, Javette, and Marcella to please share any questions that you would have. Thank you.
Hi, Gabby. In my experience, small businesses often want to know what they should upload, only capability statements or any other documents. Thank you.
Thanks for asking that question, Samira. So we do actually encourage small businesses to upload any documents that they think might be relevant to their profile. So that could be capability statements, that could be records of past performance, really anything that you think could be useful. I don't think that there's a limit on the number of documents you can upload. But please do remember that the site does not yet have the ability to search those documents. So make sure you're still filling out all of the manual parts of your profile. All right. Do we have any other questions?
Good morning, Gabby. This is Javette Johnson. Sometimes when a small business has problems accessing SBCX website, do you have any suggestions how they can work that out and access the SBCX website?
Yeah, so a lot of the time, businesses will register and they'll use an email that was different from the one that they used in BetaSAM, or they're not the individual who is the point of contact in BetaSAM. If it does happen and you're not the point of contact in BetaSAM, you're going to need to have that individual register for the site, and then they should be able to approve your account. If you have any difficulties with that, or if that's not the case, you just reach out to us and we will help you as soon as we can. Do we have any other questions?
Hi, Gabby. This is Marcella. When I meet one-on-one with small businesses, they often have incomplete profiles. What should a small business make sure to do when setting up their profile, and why?
Thanks, Marcella. So because we want to be able to find as many small businesses that are capable under each need that we have, we ask small businesses to fill out their profile as fully as possible, whether that means uploading documents or just filling out all of the parts. That's the most important part, is filling out the capabilities narrative and filling out the keyword section, because those are specifically what we use to search in the site. We'll type a word. For example, say we had a procurement coming out for robotic process automation. We would search robotic process automation in the search bar. And if your company doesn't say that in either the keywords or the capabilities narrative section, we wouldn't be able to find you. So definitely make sure you're filling those out. Any other questions?
Hi, Gabby. This is Samira again. Do primes use SBCX to find subs?
So actually, we don't tend to use the site for that, just because it tends to be mainly small businesses on the site and not our primes as often. However, we do have other resources for that. We recently held a subcontracting conference where we talked about that and introduced some of our prime vendors and their contact information. But generally speaking, we encourage you to check out our active contracts list, because that does list our current prime vendors, so you know who you might want to reach out to for subcontracting purposes.
Thank you.
I'll take the next question then.
Yes. As an ed employee or staff, can they actually see the vendor's previous experience as a subcontractor and also their prime experience in SBCX?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that question, Javette, because actually we do get that question a lot. Unfortunately, the site only pulls prime data. So if you're going to want us to see any of your subcontracting data or past performance, you'll want to upload that to the documents section. However, we do very much value that experience, and we do encourage you to upload it. All right, I believe we have another question.
Yes, Gabby, small businesses often want to know how Ed uses the SBCX profiles. Can you talk more about what Ed staff see and how Ed staff use SBCX?
Of course. So basically, as I mentioned earlier, we do use the site mainly for market research purposes. So if we have a specific opportunity, we would try to find vendors that can compete for that opportunity. On top of that, we do use the site to send out information on upcoming contract opportunities and events. So it's highly recommended that you have an account if you want that type of information. It's great for increasing your business's visibility, because any internal staff member, at least for procurement and program staff, can easily make an account. However, in regard to what exactly we see, we actually do have a follow-up training called SBCX for current users that is held live. So I would very much recommend that anyone who wants some more information on what we see, check out that follow-up training. All right, so it doesn't seem like we have any more questions. So I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Suarez for some concluding remarks.
Thank you, Gabby, and thank you, Javette, Marcella, and Samira. And thank you to all of you for joining us for this presentation. We look forward to seeing your small business pop up in the Small Business Customer Database, and we look forward to your reaching out to us to have a one-on-one. As you can see, we're a very active OSDBU team, and we look forward to helping you to learn more about the Department of Education, so that together we can start meeting small business goals and meet ED's mission. So again, on behalf of the entire OSDBU team, we look forward to engaging with you. Give us a call, check out OSDBU, where small business is everybody's business. Thank you.